Well, welcome. This is Dr. Adrian Butler, and this is Moments of Grace. And today we have Brother Muktar Mohammed with us from Nigeria. He is a financial analyst with CNBC Africa. Great brother. We love him and his family. He's been married going on 13 years, Brother Muktar. Married
11 years.
11 years, going on 12 years.
Yeah,
Two wonderful children and just a great brother. And what we wanted to do today, this is the world is watching with everything that's been happening here in America. We wanted to talk with some of our friends, those who have contributed before, those people that we trust and know that have America's best heart and interest, also that have understanding of Christ as well. And Brother Muhammad is one of those people. Brother Muhammad, with everything you've seen go on in America, what's being said over in Africa? Because again, with us, we can we get fed the news from our side, and you're in the news business. Not everything is reported the way it should be reported. Sometimes people put their spin on it and things of that nature. So, from your perspective and what you're hearing over in Africa. A few weeks ago, our capital was, we might as well say it was invaded. Homegrown terrorists here in America infiltrated our capital. And, the capital hasn't been broken into or invaded since the War of 1812 with us and the British. And nobody went in it since 1814. And so this was this has really impacted us. So we wanted to get you on to see what the rest of the world and see what how Africa sees what's going on, how Africa sees what's going on with our presidency, how Africa sees what's going on with our democracy and all. And so again, I wanted to welcome you to coming with us here on Moments of Grace. Thank you, Brother Muhammad. Brother Muhammad.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, yeah. So how do you see things here in America, what you've been seeing?
Okay, thank you so much. And I thank you for the great work you're doing. I have 3 children.
Oh, 3. I'm sorry. Okay.
Three, 2 boys and a girl. And very fortunate for me, the last one is an American.
Okay.
Was born in
and we have some freezing problems here, as you can see. Go ahead, my brother.
Okay, so he was born in South Carolina in 2015. So he carries an American passport. So you see, I have interest in America also.
Right.
Okay. It happen in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are not new to things like that, where we see invasion, we see political crises, we see.
And we have a bad connection between ourselves and your brother, Muhammad.
Yeah, I'm still here.
I got you. Yeah. So we know you have an interest with your son, and when you see things that are going on here, what's being said there?
That's what I'm saying. What we say here is we are used to what happened in America, because in Africa leaders don't accept defeat, especially the incumbent leaders. They never accept defeat. Wow. Every election they say they won it. They've never been an African all over the world. That was the former president of Nigeria, Goodluck, incumbent, and accepted the result that the opposition won. So it's always like that in Africa. There's always contests. You go to the tribunal, you go to the court of law, and our electoral system in Africa is very flawed. We have a lot of irregularity in terms of underage voters, and so we're not new to things like that. But we're shocked because we don't believe such things happen in America, whereby a leader will say there was voters fraud, whereby a leader will say that the election can be compromised. In Africa, yes, you could get a judgment like it happened in Nigeria sometime in June 12th, 1993, where an election was stopped halfway because of a judgment from a judge that said that the result should not be continued. and then the election was annulled by the military government of that time. So we see, in Africa, we've gone through a lot. It's Africa that you see a military government coming, and then he metamorphosed into a civilian government, and he doesn't want to live there until he dies there. We've seen that in Zimbabwe. We continue to see that in Uganda now.
Right.
So we are not new to things like that. But when we see that coming from the people that are supposed to be a country that is what Africa look up to, I mean, it was shocking. It was we couldn't believe it that this was happening to America. It was more or less like some of my Christian brothers said. They said, with what has happened in America, that means the world is definitely coming to an end very soon, because you can imagine what happened in America, because going into the Capitol, going to the Constitution, more or less like suspending the Constitution of America. In Africa, we are used to them suspending our Constitution when the military takes over. So, but in America, we've heard about American democracy, we read about American democracy. We've never seen it. And unfortunately, Donald Trump has never been a friend to Africa.
You're right.
He was never a friend to Africa. I mean, he calls all the shithole nations. He never visited any African country. I mean, he made us know that for the first time, we had a president that was less concerned about what was happening in the world outside of America. He said America first. And for me, we are having the kind of crisis we're having in the pandemic, because America is always the ones that rise up when things are going down around the world. For the first time that America have refused to do what they are supposed to do. That is why the war is in the crisis that we.
Right. Well, you know, unfortunately, and I'll ask you, I'm kind of like you. I know you're a financial analyst, you know, there in Africa. And what I do is spiritual and a financial analyst here in America. And one thing I've seen is the rise of, and you can tell me because you got boots on the ground. I've seen the rise of China having more of a international role, especially in Africa, bringing in an influx of funds, you know, building schools and making more, doing what we used to do here in America. So am I right in my assertion?
Definitely right. In Nigeria now, Chinese are our greatest trade partners.
Wow.
Before in Nigeria, our major source of our foreign reserve used to be the dollar. Right. But now Nigeria is now using the Chinese yuan as also we have our currency saved in the Chinese rate, because the Chinese are our major business partner, trade partners. Or majorly all our infrastructural projects in Nigeria, from power to development of rail system, to virtually every aspect of Nigeria economy, agriculture, transportation, aviation, everything is handled by Chinese companies. The only way we will see the American companies in the oil and gas sector, whereby we have a Chevron, an American company, and most of their oil block, they are even they are giving it, they're selling some of them. They're not really seeing themselves like want to be on ground for too long a time. So Nigeria major partner is China, and you know Nigeria is the largest economy in Africa. Right. All other African countries also, like Ghana, have a lot of trade relationship with China. A lot of them, and a lot of Chinese in Africa, and even in Nigeria here, we have what we call the Chinese village, whereby it's predominantly China. So we go there, you get everything from China. So the Chinese have been here, and I think they are here to stay for a very long time.
So now has this, and again, I've been watching this from my perspective, and I think the last time you and I talked, the African Union, I was really encouraged to see some of the borders being broken down as far as trade was concerned. How is that going? Because the last I heard, it was going very well. Has there been any hiccups with that, you know, as far as the African Union, as far as trade is concerned, taking the borders down? Because at one time, I think, you know, if you were on the East Coast, you had to ship all the way around the world to get your goods to the West Coast of Africa. And so how's that working there with the African Union?
You're definitely on point with us there. You're definitely very current. We have the Africa Free Trade Agreement. It will come into play by the end of January. So we'll begin to have trade within African countries, where the African country were trying to do the single currency using regional block before, like West Africa we have West Africa, we have East Africa, we have South Africa. So we're thinking about the West Africa, we're thinking about a single currency. Then later on, when we look at the volume of trade between the West, the West, the East, the South, and the North of Africa, then we'll begin to sit down to see how we can get Africa have a single currency instead of a regional currency. So unfortunately, there are a lot of parameters that were supposed to be met, especially in the West African coast, which was really pushing the single currency. Those were not met. So what we have now, we had a challenge because in Africa, we have, in the West African region of Africa, we have what we call the Francophone and the Anglophone. We have the side that speak French and the side that speak English. So it's even, and the French are supporting the side that speak French, and the name of the currency was supposed to be eco currency, and before you know it, the Francophone countries started naming their own currency eco currency. So so the other side said, no, this is not what we agree. So that is put on hold. But the Africa Trade Continental Agreement, it comes on play from the end of January, whereby we see seamless trade between African countries, because the challenge in Africa is that most of our trading partners are not even in Africa. Africa do a lot of trade agreement with European nation, with the Chinese, the Asian nation, and also with the American nation. So we don't do much trade volume together. So we are trying to see how we can bridge this gap. Now, this is the challenge, and this is the whole idea. It doesn't mean that like, let me give an example of a company in America. Let's say Ford Motors in America. It doesn't mean that because we have a continental trade agreement means that you can take Ford's car to Ghana and then begin to import it to Nigeria. No. What we're talking about, the African Continental Trade Agreement, is goods or services that will be done right inside Africa. By the country, made in Ghana, made in Togo, made in South Africa. Then you move those goods to other parts of the continent, and then there will not be a tariff. It's more or less like a free trade agreement. They will not be charging off tariff on it. But if you bring any goods that is not manufactured in your country, then you have to pay the tariff, and the tariff will be double. So those are part of the strategy that we put in place. Will this African trade agreement, will it really work? It's going to be a major challenge because of the infrastructural problem we have in Africa, the security challenges we have in Africa. And like I've told you, the rivalry between the Anglophone and the Francophone, the South Africa and the East Africa. So, and again, we have, is because it's not easy to move in from Nigeria, even to the closest country, which is supposed to be Benin Republic. You encounter a lot of challenges that has to do with movement, infrastructure, transportation. In Africa, it's not like we don't even have a single rail line that will move us from Nigeria to like Ghana or South Africa. We don't have those facilities. So it's going to take a long time for us, because to really have trade agreement, then you need to have a rail system, because the rail system is the cheapest form of transportation, and you can move a lot of goods and services. So what we do in Africa, we see a lot of trucks moving a lot of our goods from one country to another, and that has a negative impact on our roads. And before you know, the roads are being damaged. So it's a long way, but it's a step in the right direction for now.
Gotcha. Well, now, again, because the Chinese, and again, you can correct me if I'm incorrect, that even with the rail system, the Chinese are bringing in technology to kind of help with that, of bringing a rail system that is sufficient to Africa. Am I wrong with that, or is my reading incorrect?
You're very, very correct. In Nigeria especially, like I keep saying, Nigeria is the largest system. We used to have a rail system. We used to have a very good rail system, and those systems got bad. Presently, the road system are coming back, and it's the Chinese that are what we call build and operate, whereby the government give them the license to build, to rehabilitate this rail system. For the next 30 years, the Chinese are going to run that system. So after 30 years, that's what we call a build and operate. So they bring in their own coach, they bring in their own, all the trains, all the
technology and everything.
The machineries are all coming from China. Even in Nigeria, in the aviation sector, we have our 4 major airports in Nigeria are being remodeled. And this remodeling is done by the Chinese also. And they are going to build and operate that for another 25 years. So you can see that they're already trimming into the largest economy in Africa. They have done that in Ethiopia also, where they have expanded of Africa. They know what the Africans really need, because most Chinese are there. But let me say that there's a little bit of in terms of business ethics. You don't see that in the Chinese like you get in the developed country like America or Europe. But a beggar has no choice, and whoever is ready to help you, you want to flow along with them.
Now the change, because the last 3 quarters, China's GDP has outpaced ours in America. Because now we, with the present administration, it's only going to be here for a few more days. Is that where China put the, I guess you say, the boots on the ground and started being more aggressive during this last 4 years? Or is this something that started with the Obama administration, or what? Was it just this last 4 years, or is this, or America backing away from being a partner with Africa? Has it been with other administrations, or has it just started with this administration?
It has been with other administrations. I must be factual about it, but maybe it's not the kind of momentum they had, because in other administration they were still trying to make headway. We have the American Nigerian Chambers of Commerce. We had other presidents of America visiting African country. Barack Obama was in South Africa. He came there to visit some East African countries. He was even in West Africa. He came to Ghana also. So this is the first time. And then you have the Secretary of State then normally comes to Africa to have meetings with African leaders, especially in the area of democracy and rule of law. So American has been, then even in the area of fight against terrorism, Americans have always been in the forefront helping African nations. But I think this is the first time we have an American leader for the past 4 years, never had any major thing anything good to talk about Africa. I don't think, I stand to be corrected, I don't think there was any major trade deal between Africa and any African nation and America throughout the 4 years of Donald Trump. So I think that is majorly why the Chinese also, what the Chinese did is that when they started having problems with the American in terms of tariff, so they tried to open up other business links, and they concentrated in Africa, especially knowing that Africa has the population, Africa has the market, most populous region in the world. So they just capitalized on that, and they really made a lot of headway into Africa. Like I said, they know the African language. Most of them have been in Africa for like 20 to 30 years. So they were the ones that were inviting those other big companies in China. So majorly everything we have in Africa now, from our telecommunication equipment, from everything, even our cars, we have made in China, because even when you want to buy a Toyota part, is a Toyota part that they brought from China that we have here. We have the one that will come from Europe. We have the one that will come from America, and we still have the one that will come from China. So China really made a lot of headway into Africa, especially in the area of infrastructural development.
Got you.
And that is one major challenge of Africa: infrastructure.
The infrastructure, and I truly feel if the plan that I'm hearing coming out of China is, for their partnership with Africa is true, that it behooves them to also help you get that infrastructure problem fixed. The other issue, and we're going to get back to how things are with America, but and I'm going to play this for my students. I teach I teach a class every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, and I want them to hear what you're saying, because what you're saying, you're on the ground there, is exactly what I've been telling them. That right now, some of the companies in China, such as NIO, some of the electric car companies, they have the continent that the whole continent of Africa that they're negotiating with. And how many people, and I'm saying there's 1 billion in Africa, but how many are there actually on the continent?
How many in terms of population?
Yes, the complete population. Do you know?
I don't know the complete population, but I think Nigeria, which is the most populous nation in Africa, we're about 200 million. In Nigeria, 200 million. So,
so 1 billion would not be too far off. A population of 1 billion or more wouldn't be too far off.
Like we're the second most populous region outside of Asia. So we should be looking at that rate, because Nigeria alone is about 200 million.
Exactly.
People.
Yeah, and so you look at, and this is my thought process. Of course, the Chinese companies is a population of 7 billion people on Earth. but you're looking at close to 2-3 billion in Africa, in Asia, another billion in China, another 1.5 billion maybe in Africa. And that's who the Chinese are dealing with. While we've contracted, China has exploded, as far as trade and everything. So I think with the last 4 years, we've lost our footing economically. But now with what's happened, what the world sees going on with our democracy, now we're starting to lose footing and the respect of the world with what you all are seeing with our democracy. So, when you all saw, well yourself, my brother, because you don't only speak for yourself, but when you saw the Capitol being invaded, overtaken, overrun, what were your thoughts?
Well, it was very emotional. It was shocking. I started the news looking at the verification of the results by the House with the Senate president, which have to be the vice president. I started with it. I was following it, and then at the point I lose track and went to do some other things. I went to other stations and just said, okay, I'll get the breaking news that the election result has been certified. Only to have the breaking news later on my phone to saying that the Capitol is being invaded, it's been attacked. I couldn't believe it. I have to go directly to CNN because CNN is one of the stations that is all over Africa. And we started getting details. I saw live picture of what was happening in America. It was shocking. Wow. It was very shocking. I tell you, I followed that incident till about 3 a.m. Wow. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. That's how much it was shocking. I mean, we Africans have not recovered from it because American democracy, our democracy, almost all democracy in Africa is fashioned towards the American system of democracy. Right. So it was more or less like an attack on our own democracy, a democracy that is still struggling, and then in trying to imitate a bigger democracy, and you see that democracy being attacked. It was really a big challenge because to us, America, anytime Nigeria happens, I'm looking at Nigeria as a nation, even other African nations, once they have an election, what makes the leader sit to their feet, what makes the leader to accept defeat is sometimes when the Americans say that, look, if you don't accept defeat, we are going to withdraw visas to your family, we will make sure that you're a personal non-grata, and America are always interested. In Nigeria, during our election, the American embassy also act as an election observer. And sometimes they go from state to state to say, and the validity of an election, sometimes for every government in Africa, is when the ambassador or when the American consulate or the American embassy in Nigeria says, oh, that we can say that election was free and fair. And they believe that it's free and fair. So to see such people, democracy being attacked, it was very painful. It was sad. It's just like America thinking what was the saddest day in America. For me, it was one of the saddest days in the world as a whole because you saw the symbol of democracy, you saw the symbol of freedom, you saw the symbol of freedom of speech being attacked. You saw it was more or less like a coup because in Africa, once you want to attack the government, the sitting government, you attack the legislature. Once you suspend the constitution, and that means there's no government, and so and that's how you take on. So for us, those attacks was more or less like the people going into the building to suspend the Constitution of America. So for us, it was like America was under a siege of a dictator. I mean, if that word, I can't find any other word than to say that because that war happened in Africa. It's only in Africa you in Africa is that bad that it's even the security forces that will go there and make sure that those houses were suspended. So for us to see a people like you rightly introduced, more or less, it was more or less like what happened during 9/11, where all over the world we sat down, we so start seeing America under attack. The only difference is because it was a known terrorist group that attacked this one. This one is a terrorist inside the country. For us, that was attacking the democracy of America. It was a very sad day for me personally, and as a nation and as a continent, it was a very sad day for Africa.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Brother Mohammed. We're gonna continue our conversation, but we just had a good friend, Simon Ben, who's been a contributor with us before. He's an author there in the United Kingdom. So welcome, Simon. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Yeah, great to be here.
Well, we're so happy to have you. We're doing this piece called "The World Is Watching," and we're trying to get we've seen our capital attacked a few weeks ago, and we haven't had that go on since you guys did it back in the War of 1812, at least to go into the Capitol in 1814. And so, from your perspective, Simon, and that's all you can give us. You're not a sitting official or a reporter or anything. Just as a commoner like I am, and a commoner like Brother Muhammad, what did you see when you got the news that our capital had been attacked and overrun?
I just felt, I just really felt sad for the country.
Yeah.
Just picking up on something that you said about the Brits and the Americans of old. I never learned anything about that.
Really? Okay.
In school. We don't teach. We don't get taught anything about that in school.
Okay.
Which is probably, I don't know whether that's on purpose or not.
Sure it is.
So I guess I'm not really up on that period of history, so I wouldn't have I wouldn't have an informed opinion on that
Right.
period of history. I see some cultural similarities, and I see a lot of cultural differences, and I don't think our leaders. I don't think our leader is doing a great job at the moment. And clearly, Trump hasn't done a great job, in my opinion.
Right.
But I'm not saying that we're doing any better. I think, and I wouldn't comment on I wouldn't comment on Trump any more than I've done that. But I will tell you that I think Boris is an idiot.
Okay.
I wouldn't like to criticize another commoner's
right. Well, I think
leader.
you and I feel probably the same way about our leaders, so we'll put it like that.
But I don't want to go down. I don't want to go down that route.
Right.
I don't think the world. I don't think the leaders anywhere are leading at the moment well.
Right. Well, I think what has happened, Simon, I know at least here, we unfortunately our best and brightest are not leading us, or at least here in America. And I think also, and I can't speak for you guys, but I know here in America, and I did see Boris, I think he was cascading across a city or something on a zip cord or something. And I just thought, so how odd when I saw that, and some of the things that our president has done. In fact, I've heard talk with some other people in other countries, and they kind of call Boris the Trump of England, because of some of the things that's going on. But it is right now, the way we vote and the way we follow leadership. We're not following leadership; we're following cults of personality, and that's what I see. That's what I'm saying, is that we're voting in personalities, not policies. And that's what we have to do. The only way that I think America is going to move forward is we have to have policies, and policies here in our country have stopped with the infighting between the Democrats and the Republicans. So I think what transpired with the Capitol, and I find that amazing when you said you all weren't taught that was one of, as we looked at American history, when we get to that point, after slavery, the War of before slavery, the War of 1812 is definitely highlighted. But because, again, which is amazing to me, because it was considered a war we lost against you guys, I thought that it would really be highlighted with you all, because we're considered
Oh,
that we
right, yeah.
consider that a loss. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm really not sure about that. You know, if we, because it's normally the victors that write the history.
Yeah, and that's
You know?
amazing. Yeah.
You know, I was chatting to a friend about this a couple of years ago, and he said, I don't understand it. You know, this is a really strange way of looking at it, I think, but it came into my head. But, you know, we look at Stalin and Hitler,
Yes.
and you know, Stalin doesn't get the bad. He doesn't get the bad press that Hitler does. I mean,
Right.
clearly they're both an utter
Right.
psychopaths.
Right.
But Hitler gets a lot more stick than Stalin does. Why doesn't Stalin get the same amount of stick? It's because the victor writes the thing. Writes the thing. But yes, the culture of personality. We are voting for people who we are familiar with.
Yes.
Like we drink Coca-Cola because we're more familiar with it than Pepsi.
Right.
It is, I think, lazy. I think we are lazy as commoners. And it's really strange. I think my challenge with the storming of the Capitol is the fact that, coming back to it, that Trump has incited this. That's my understanding. Is that a fair enough understanding?
That's accurate, because right before the Capitol was stormed, you know, Rudy Giuliani, who was his lawyer, said, we're going down to the Capitol and we're going to have trial by combat. And so to me, and then Trump is saying we got to fight. In fact, in the speech before the insurrection was, or the attempted insurrection, he mentioned fight 13 times in his speech. And so the inciting, and of course, I think you guys, if you've watched, he's gone through his second impeachment in less than 14 months. And so at least the leadership here in our nation sees him as being the direct line, you know, the cause and effect, that he was the cause, and what we saw was the effect by the Capitol being overrun. And again, words have consequences. We don't put leadership in place to not to lead, and we don't put them in place to be mutes. We put them in place to set policy, and their words have consequences. Let me say this before we move on. Thomas Jefferson, one of our greatest, at least considered one of our more intellectual presidents in America, set a precedence about African-American slaves, which has followed the African-American culture all through history. And that was, while we were in slavery, one of the things he said was that we were lazy. So one of the stereotypes we have here in America is that Black people, if they constitute themselves by color, that Black people are lazy. Well, it started with someone while we were in slavery. So words have consequences, not only consequences, but generational consequences as well.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
That's disgusting. I think whatever, the thing that pops into my head in terms of the opposite of this is, and also a kind of a British, an empire thing, if you like. Right. We don't study a lot about the British Empire, funnily enough. You know, my history at school was the Vikings, Norman conquest.
Okay.
First
Anglo-Saxon,
World War.
right?
Yeah. Finding of Germany and Italy. But so not a lot about the empire. But what we did. But if we think of the opposite of the violence, of the violent words that you've talked about from Trump, and the violent manner in which he carries himself, is we think of somebody who won over the British government, who was Gandhi.
Right.
Exactly. Gandhi won without
Right, without violence.
You
Right.
know, and was it him, or was it Mother Teresa said, I won't demonstrate against anything, but if you give me something to demonstrate for, I'm in for it. I'm up for
Right.
it. You know.
Right.
So you know, he wasn't anti-war. He was pro-peace.
There you go.
And he brought down the British government in India,
Right.
through peace.
Right. Right.
And you know, I guess we're talking really about a higher level of consciousness here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that higher level of consciousness, and that is where we win. We win through a higher level of consciousness rather than aggression and attack.
Right.
Which doesn't do
anyone any good. Yeah.
It just continues the fight.
Right. Well, you know, one thing, and brother Mohammed, you can speak to this. I know in America, we're roughly 365 million people. But we have triple the number of weapons in our country. There's close to, my understanding, close to 1 billion weapons in America that's in the civilian hands, myself included. Brother Mohammed, what are the laws concerning weapons there? And Ben, Brother Simon, I have some inkling of what it is, but I like if you all would explain it, because again, when you put that kind of aggressive force in the hands of so many people, people are going to, especially if they're radicalized, and that's what these people are, they're not going to just want to continue to shoot at targets. You understand what I'm saying? Because because you almost feel justified. And all we keep hearing is that we're at war with one another. You know, we're divided. We're at war with one another. So it's not a far leap. This is me saying this now, here in America, that people are eventually going to want to use what they have. Not over, like I said, for every American, there's 3 weapons. And some people don't have weapons. So it lets you know there's people that have caches of weapons. Even more, some people are even more, have more armament than even our police forces do. So, Brother Mohammed, what are the weapon situation there? And then Simon, if you don't mind speaking on that in England as well.
Well, in Africa, you are not allowed to have a weapon. I'm talking precisely in Nigeria. It's a crime to have a weapon, and even in Nigeria, if you're found with weapon, it's more or less like you're trying to kill somebody, even if you are not trying to kill somebody. So you are going to die by firing squad because you're not allowed to have a weapon. Yeah, okay. You're not allowed to have a weapon, no matter what the weapon is. Sometimes even people have been sentenced to death by hanging or by firing squad for being caught with even a tall weapon, using it to threaten people to collect their belongings. So in Africa, it's illegal. It's only the security forces that have a right to a weapon. Okay. And though the farmers definitely sometimes have a right to weapon. The farmers sometimes have a right to weapon, maybe the hunters, right. Or those, they have to have a license. You don't just pick those weapons and use them like that. So Nigeria, I mean, talking from Nigerian perspective, it's a crime for you to have any weapon in your house, any weapon, whatever the weapon is, any firearm you found with is a crime. And it, like I said, is sometimes used to life imprisonment or death by firing squad or death by hanging.
Right. So if you use it in the committing of a crime, you just about forfeited your life.
Even attempting to use it to commit a crime.
Okay.
Attempting to use it to commit a crime, even if at the end of the day you didn't commit the crime, but attempting to use it, even I'm talking about even attempting to use a tall gun will land you in life imprisonment in Nigeria. So
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you for that. And Simon, what about there in the UK?
Yeah. So some farmers have shotguns for pest control, and some people have rifles for shooting deer. Handguns, I think handguns are banned. There was something on, so we had a school shooting 16 years ago. And I think that the law changed after that, and I think handguns became banned. Handguns, it's very rare. It's very rare. So most, I would say, most police, most of our police service, the policemen and women don't carry
even
guns.
carry weapons, right?
No, there are armed units, but they are the minority,
right?
And we think a lot of British people believe the American. Well, we can't really believe the situation. In America regarding guns, and we hear a lot about the political influence of the National Riflemen's Association.
Yes.
So we hear a lot. They're always on, and they're always on. But we here in the UK, guns are very rarely used. There's some knife crime. There's some concern about knife crime, growing concern about knife crime. But in terms of guns, no, it's very rare. Some guys clearly do have them.
Right. Exactly.
Some criminals use them, but it's highly regulated.
Well, it's in our Constitution, and it's been taken so far out of context that you would have a weapon for a well-regulated militia. And that's what the Second Amendment says, for a well-regulated militia. And in all actuality, the well-regulated militia became our National Guard. So realistically, that whole piece should have ended. It really should have ended, because now we have a National Guard. In fact, that's why the National Guard was developed, to take away that, civilians organizing these, as we see here, these so-called well-regulated militias. The NRA is backing a product that you can only sell one time. So a gun, you can only sell it one time. And I mean, you can, of course you can resell it, but gun manufacturers want to keep the legislation of guns being made and people buying them. And that's just the bottom line. And now ammo here, right after COVID hit, you could buy ammunition for $9. That ammunition now is $60. So it is a whole industry of violence to keep us into a position that we continue to have this separation. And if I don't like you, I'll go get my gun or whatever. So my society is it's a very dangerous society. It is a very dangerous society. My
sister lives in Switzerland, and everybody, they still have national service in Switzerland, and everybody has a rifle. But they don't have the challenges that you have.
America has, right, yeah.
So it's about the level of consciousness.
Right, I agree.
And the level of divisiveness.
Right.
As well as the guns. I don't think. I think you have to tackle both at the once. But we keep on hearing. We hear here in the UK, we hear a lot about. So our left of centre, our left-leaning political party, still has a lot of the trades unions still have a lot of sway, political power in terms of voting people in.
Right.
In terms of deciding which candidates go to the top and the leader of that party. Yeah. So that has a bearing on where we go. But as we say, we always hear about the National Riflemen's Association and the political power that they have. So it would seem to be systemic.
Yeah.
really. You know, you talked about economic, you know,
right.
there's the powers at play that make the guns and that make the ammo. You know, we follow the money, follow the power.
Of course. Yeah. So it's from their economic standpoint, they could care less. We're making money. We could care less how many bullets you guys buy. In fact, we want you to buy more. And that's why I said, you know, I think the number is 70% of America does not own guns. But keep in mind, one in every you have guns for one in every 3 people. Enough guns for, excuse me, for one every 3 guns per one person in America, and 30 to 45% of Americans don't own weapons.
So they must have 10.
So some people have, when I say caches, I mean, you know, buildings. I know a guy personally that has 50, 60 himself, you know, so this is and when you have that kind of psychosis or that kind of psychology that's going on, that I have it for home protection, when there's been no history of you being attacked or your home being attacked or that kind of home invasion, people have bought into the psychosis that I must have these many weapons in case of what? You know, so it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy, guys, that we are bringing destruction on ourselves, that we own so many weapons. And then, you know, in Washington, D.C., at the Capitol, it is illegal to have weapons, and people brought weapons anyway. So it is, you know, if you have them, my father used to say something all the time about guns, and I'm a former soldier. You know, if you don't have it, you can't use it. Much like you guys, Simon, you know, it's going to be a long prison term if you're caught with one. And you, Brother Mohammed, in Nigeria, if you're caught with one, it could cost you your life. We have like I said, we have a whole we have a whole political system that pushes to keep weapons in the hands of civilians, and not just that, assault weapons. That's the other side of it. Not even just a handgun, but high capacity assault weapons. So, like I said, it is almost a self-fulfilling prophecy. We're going to go on and get ready to get out of here, my friends. Thank you all so much for your time. Simon, give us some last words. If you were to share with America, you know, how to treat, as our partner, as our neighbor, economically, and also as us being a former colony, what would be your words to America as you see it? And same question to you, Brother Mohammed.
Well, my words would be the same as I would be to to Brother Mohammed in Nigeria, to you in the States, to anybody in the world, which would be just to be kind.
Yes, be kind. Thank you so much, Simon. And what about you, Brother Mohammed?
I think he took the word out of my mouth through another way by saying be kind. I think for me, I would say let the love of God flow within us, and let us love ourselves, let us protect each other, and let us pray for each other.
Yeah, amen. I totally believe that, brother. And Simon, thank you so much. Before we get out of here, Simon, can you tell people where they can get your book, and if they need to get in contact with you, because I know you do some pieces with young people.
I do. So I'm an adoptee, and I coach adoptees and other adopted parents and kids. Okay. And my website is simonbenn.co.uk. So SIMONBENN.co.uk.
Okay, thank you so much. And what about your book, though? How can people get your book?
Just get in touch with me through the website.
Okay, got you. And Brother Mohammed, you're on CNBC Nigeria or Africa. So tell people Africa. So tell people how they can see you on television, and how they can get in contact with you if they have any questions from an economic standpoint there in Africa. And you own a business there in Africa as well.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter with Finance with Muktar. So they can check me up there on Twitter, on Facebook with my name, Muktar, and also Finance with Muktar on Facebook also. And they can reach me there. Get me on CNBC Africa. I appear on CNBC Africa once in a month, and it's always on a Monday. I don't know which of them now. Of the Mondays I'll come, because I've appeared in the month of January, so it has to be in the month of February.
Gotcha.
So then I do a lot of things on social media also, trying to encourage young people especially to invest for the future, investments in treasury bonds and real estate and also equity. That's
Gotcha.
basically my company here in Nigeria.
Got you. And so, gentlemen, thank you all so much for being here with us again on Moments of Grace. And we're going to put this will be on YouTube, and I think we're going to try and put it on Facebook also, but it'll definitely be on the podcast. And again, I wish you all well. Thank you so much for your input. Because again, with us being here in America, we get one side of the news, what we see, and we don't know what's going on, how our world partners see us unless we are connected with Al Jazeera or watching some other, BBC or something like that. And so we don't have an opportunity to sit down and talk with people one-on-one other than what we get from news. So thank you all so much for your time.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
All right. This is Dr. Butler, and this is Moments of Grace. Remember, love God, love life. Keep the light on. We'll see you next time on Moments of Grace. Thank you all so much for being with us.